Welcome to Forever Exiled. I'm Justin, aka Tags.
And I'm Tyler, Wrecker of Days.
Episode 286 of our podcast. I'm back, and big shout out first off to our patrons. Thanks everybody who supports the podcast and resubbed up this week and last week that I missed. But thank you so much. Patreon gets you access to After Dark, it's our podcast after the podcast, where Tyler and I we keep the party going. You never know what you're gonna get. And yeah, thank you to everybody who's signed up for it. I'm back. I had a bit of a break, so we experienced some pretty unfortunate and untimely loss of a person in our family, and so I had to take some time off. I shut down. I didn't deal with work. I focused on my kids and my wife and my family, and so I appreciate everybody. I got some messages. Obviously, don't want to talk about it too much, but just mentioning that yeah, it sucked. We went through a pretty shitty week and a half, and my focus was on my kids and the people that matter the most to me, so helping them get through it. And now I'm back. So a big thank you to Aaron for dealing with Tyler for a week, letting me take my time off and do what I needed to do. And now Ty's freezing. There we go. Are we back?
I didn't hear you until just now. Everything froze.
Perfect. Well, that's good. Okay. My recording's still working, but I was just thanking Aaron for putting up with you for a week for me and letting me focus on the people that matter and the things I needed to take care of. And it's just sometimes you have those things in life that suck, and just not promise tomorrow. So hug the people around you, and thank you to everybody who supported us through it. So that's that. And now I'm back for 286. It's my first one I missed, but yeah, among the podcast, everything else for me shut off. I was very in tune with my kids and our family and making sure that people were good. So the people that actually matter the most to me. So that's that. So
I was going to joke that thanks for not prioritizing the podcast. Way to get your priorities straight. But at the same time, Aaron and I recorded, but Justin still did all the editing, all the background, all the uploading, making sure that things were ready. So he was still very thoughtful to do all of that while he was going through
you got it all out.
Him and his family was going through.
And thank you again, Aaron.
She says, you owe her $5.
Hopefully she had a good time. Did you guys have a good time doing it together?
Yeah, we did. We had a really good time. It was the first time in our marriage that we enjoyed each other's company. It was a lot of good faking and happiness, right? And a lot of fake laughing.
Nice.
But it was good. No, it was a lot of fun. We enjoyed each other's company, and there was lots to talk about because, I don't know, we don't really talk about PoE.
Yeah.
Like we kind of do when she's in the mood and she was playing, but she stopped playing over a month ago, 2 months ago, maybe, right? Because she started playing when you and I started playing. We all started fresh and vanilla all at the same time. But it was just, she couldn't progress, didn't want to get carried, that kind of stuff. So just waiting for what we're going to talk about today, the big announcement that came out today.
Big stuff,
but while we're on the process of thanks, just wanted to, there were a couple exit interviews and a whole lot of really kind messages this week. And we get them, but we, big shout out to them. Thank you for being thoughtful and taking the time to give encouraging messages. And no matter where you are, where you're at, we hope you're well. And we thank you very much for your support all the time.
How was your week, Ty?
Well, I had a good week. I mean, I had a buddy that was going through some pretty tough stuff. So our hearts were always with you. And you never know if you're like checking in on the person too much or too little. You want to be respectful of space, but at the same time, if they don't want space and they need a hug, you want to make sure that you're there and they know that you can. So, I mean, we're completely like, we have nothing to do with the situation, but we're concerned for you and yours, and we want to make sure that you and your family are well. So our hearts were with you. And besides that, it's been a good week. We had, onto the important stuff, we had a person come and flatten the lawn for me.
Oh, okay, right? Cool. Nice.
And they gave a quote for a couple things that they wanted to have happen, and it's just fine. They're everywhere.
I'm taking it out anyway. Go ahead.
Okay. So we called beepity beep 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 beep, and but they came and they gave me a few quotes for a few different projects that I wanted, and then the squirrel people, because we got to get rid of the squirrel.
Yeah.
They ended up coming on the same day.
Ooh, it was a party at your house.
It was a party at my house, and but it was good because the people doing the yard stuff, they flattened the lawn for us. But then I also asked them to do There were just way too many bare spots in the lawn, which is fine. Like overseeding can take care of that, but weeds have grown in quite quickly into those spots. So instead of dealing with that manually this year, I asked for them to do the spray, but they're going to do the spray in May.
Sweet.
So overseeding is only going to have a certain amount of value. They're also going to aerate the lawn for me, but the flattening was one that, of course, I've spoken about the last few weeks. But while they were flattening the lawn, I went out in my flip-flops and I'm like, hey, I don't know if I'm allowed to, like, you know, with like how your liabilities work, but can I push your flattener for a little bit? Because I wanted to see if it was too much for me, right?
Sure.
I'm not going to go out and spend $150 or $200 on a flattener. And then obviously my assumption is I'm not going to be able to do it with my physical limitations. So they were here and I'm like, can I give it a shot? And the guy, he was like the underling, right? You know, you always talk to the main person and they show up, they give you the assessment and then they don't even show up for the actual work. They get some grunt to do it. Fine, whatever, as long as it's done well. But then you're always like peeking out the window, like, are they accidentally flattening the lawn? Are they ruining my edging? Are they, you know what I mean, right? So same thing with like when the squirrel guy came, I'm like, don't touch the magnolia tree. Don't trim the magnolia tree, because they were concerned about squirrels getting up top to the roof. And I'm like, you cannot. Magnolias are like the most sensitive of trees, and it's not the time to prune it now. Don't you dare hack it back. We have an electrical wire that goes to the house anyway, so there's no point in trimming a tree when they still have access to the roof, the squirrels. So anyway, I go out and I talk to the grunt, very kind guy. He's like, yeah, no problem. Probably clueless to the whole liability bit. Like if I ran over my foot and hurt it or something, could I sue them? I don't know. Who cares? I'm not going to. But so I was pushing it around and it was surprisingly light. So then I started looking at prices for rollers. Was it like the big rake or was it an actual roller?
No,
it was like a water-filled roller.
Oh, okay. So that would.
So I'm not getting them to level it with sand or anything like that. I'm just getting them to roll it out. I see. Yeah, cool. Yep. And that was their recommendation, which of course I pay for, but it was in lieu of the
filling it and raking,
sanding and reseeding and all that kind of stuff. And so but we had a busy week, and it was so that was nice and it was encouraging. I don't know if I could do all 500 square meters of my property.
I did that on my front lawn when we reseeded it, because you do it after you've done a full thing. It's a bit of work.
It is. Yeah. Especially when you're like, it doesn't seem like it, like the pulling and pushing. Okay. Like, sometimes you have to go back and forth a few times over some lumps, especially with the amount of molehills that we get. But then there's turning your corners and, keeping the lines nice. And, it adds up. So I don't know if my neck can handle it, but I was checking out the different prices and options and widths, lengths, and things like that for that. And it's the last week of the kids' 2-week spring break, and so the kids have a play date. Oliver has some friends coming over at noon that I'll need to take a break for when they start arriving, but besides that I can keep back and do this, and they just had a good week or good 2 weeks, I guess. You
had birthday, right?
So everything's good.
Was that this past week or was it the one before?
My daughter had her birthday last
happy
week.
Birthday,
but you weren't around again. Thanks for prioritizing.
I sent a message.
But you did. You were extremely thoughtful through everything you were going through. That was very kind of you. And she
did she have a good birthday?
I was talking to Erin about it last week, and it was a big parent win. Like, we didn't do anything. She just had her request. My daughter's very, she's not picky in terms of the things that she wants to do, but she just knows what she likes and doesn't like.
Totally.
Right. Yep. So, she wanted to go to a trampoline park, and she wanted to spend time with just the four of us, right? Including her. And she, like, I always go to Tim Hortons and buy 6 donuts for the family for the birthday, right? For that like birthday breakfast kind of thing, right? Because I can't have any, so they each get 2. And she wanted to come, so she set her alarm for 5 a.m, and she came with me to Tim Hortons at like 5:30 in the morning, and she wanted to open gifts. And so I'm like, screw it, it's her birthday. So I woke everyone else up. It's like 6 o'clock and we're opening gifts, and she wants to play all day. And then we went to the trampoline park, and they're like, that was it. But she knew what she wanted, and we were able to do it. And she said it was the best birthday she'd ever had in her life.
Nice job. That's
so
awesome.
We didn't do anything special. What she wanted was stuff that like a low middle class family could do. Right. And like I'm the kind of person where we don't have the money for extravagant things, but we save money to make sure that on the kids' birthdays we can splurge a bit, not like spoiled brat splurge, but like we not going to treat it like a normal night type of thing. And so we do that. There's only the 2 birthdays a year, right? And So it's just fun to have them do these special things that we normally wouldn't do for them, but they love it, but they're thankful for it. Like we've done something right somewhere because they're thankful for it. They're not expectant of it. You know what I mean? And so we felt like we had a good parent win, and our daughter was thrilled to, even the stuff that she wanted on her like list. We get them to actually prioritize them on the list and like, well, do you want this more or this? Like, which one would you be more sad about to get? So we organized them, and her top 5 things were easily affordable.
That's awesome.
Except for Lego, but I guarantee that they're going to get Lego every birthday, even if they don't like Lego.
You can't help the price of Lego either. It sucks.
No,
it's always expensive.
Absurd. And on a side note, I hate the company for doing what they do. I love what they do, and I hate what they do. Like when I bought the Williams F1 race car that came at the beginning of March or end of March. No, beginning of March. I built it, and like I remember being really amazed when my son was building like a redstone golem from Minecraft a couple years ago. Like the detail they put in,
that's awesome.
Gets covered up, and then it gets covered up and gets covered. Like they're not apathetic to the innards. It's not just like the things that aren't going to be seen when the product is finished. It's not like the innards are all black. It's such a well done, detailed experience. It's done by somebody that seems to appreciate what the content is actually representing, whether it's Minecraft or Formula One or whatever. Even like the different Minecraft, like we have 3 Formula One cars now. We have the Mercedes car from 2 years ago. We have last year's McLaren, and we have this year's Williams. Even the wings and the little special pieces they make that typically aren't like just a normal block for a Lego piece. They're different. Every F1 car has the slight
that's cool
differences. It is really cool. So then when you like overpay, so right? You're like, oh, but like this is. I wish the people that made my dishwasher and my fridge and my car made this kind of attention. Well, actually, our Honda's amazing, but then you have things like it's expensive, but then they also do the themes where they retire products. So they do the whole thing, the selfish thing that is not family friendly at all, where you have to buy things in waves because they're going to retire sets over time.
You won't be able to get it later.
And that is like, that's not thinking of kids at all. That's pure bottom line dollar. That's money, it is. Sure. And I get it, but it's
just
not.
Don't like it.
Like, I don't want to support them.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when I do, it's almost.
They don't even have competition, too. They can literally do whatever they want.
Right. Mega Blocks is going to come in and dent their income, right? No way, not a chance.
We freeze.
You froze again. We're freezing again. How do you want to do this?
Just keep going. There you go. We're back now. I don't know what. I don't know if it's Discord.
I don't know if it's Discord or if you need bigger GBs, but I got plenty of GBs right here. I'm getting on yours. Weight. Yeah, you've frozen twice now.
Both times you froze on mine. On mine, my camera stays fine, but you freeze, so it's got to be a Discord issue.
Do you want to restart Discord quick?
No, Discord's just going to be Discord. Right. Super happy to
support
them.
My wife is also doing like all these crazy things now that she's like a pro streamer. She's done like so many settings changes. So I don't know what she's actually done to the just if to make it all just Streamlabs or if she's done any Windows stuff too.
Cool.
Whatever. Thanks, Aaron, for screwing everything up. But also thank you for last week. Anyway,
my week was fine. I know you were about he's making a face.
Yeah, I was considering if I should even ask.
No, I get it. So my shittiness started 2 weeks ago on the Sunday, and I took that whole week off. This week, you know what? My week last week ended in at least feeling. I don't know you can't say you felt better, but I knew my kids were good, and that was what I wanted, and so we got to do Christina and I did like the shortest trip ever I've done to the island. We took our oldest back home, and it felt good. So Tuesday for me was a zoo because I legit didn't care about work for a week. So Tuesday was very crazy.
Right.
And then I just kind of took my time getting back into it. There's Ty's getting some messages. Yeah, I did actually take this week pretty easy.
I forgot. Sorry.
I slowly got myself back into it, and it's been very busy, but I'm not overwhelmed because I'm still getting back to trying to care about work. So it's been the week's been like most of it has been positive. It's been good to see my kids doing well, and that's what's important to me. So
it's my wife. She's passed my D&D.
She's like, I want to get in there. The week's been fine. A little bit busy, but overall it's been good. And and then I didn't even know about the I totally forgot that pathofexile was doing their announcement thing. Was it yesterday, the 27th? Yeah. My son messaged me. He's like, "Oh, these Ascendancies look cool." I'm like, oh, "Wait a minute. Was that today?" I did
well,
not.
It actually, despite they were very good at promoting it. No bones about it. They were good at promoting it, but I'm used to Fridays too. I'm not used to the sometimes Thursday, sometimes Friday, which is now 2 announcements in a row where it's been maybe a Thursday, maybe a Friday. Well, not maybe. They've been upfront about it both times, but I'm just used to Friday. That's it. Like you just, if it's a PoE thing, Friday. Like that's it. And so all of a sudden it's Thursday and I'm like, wait a second, I was going to go to my mom's this afternoon and build her a shelf. Not like me build her a shelf. No. I mean, like follow the instructions and build her a shelving unit, not cut. No, goodness me. I would lose all my fingers the very first time. But anyway, I was going to go do that. And I'm like, oh no, wait, noon. Okay. So now I got to call her and postpone a little bit. And it was hilarious because on the side, on their post in their announcement thing, they said it'd be like just over an hour and a half. And it ended up being just over 2.5.
Oh, with the Q&A?
But they said including the Q&A would be just over an hour and a half. And I don't care if that's incorrect because I love that they just talk and they get it going. And I heard Aaron, who watched the whole thing, I didn't, laughing out loud a few times. Like she's really appreciates their I don't know, their geekiness and like love and passion and interest. So but yeah, it was 2.5 hours, but I was like, oh, Thursday. So rearranged how we were organizing the kids' chores and stuff like that and threw it together. But yeah, it caught me by surprise too, and I was expecting it.
I just watched it just before we started recording because I just didn't get into watching it yesterday and then forgot to watch it last night. And then even this morning I was like, shit, I should probably watch that. It's a big deal. So yeah, we got some stuff to talk about in PoE. Is there anything else other than that? I'm guessing that's what we're talking about, right? Nothing else really happened.
I mean, like I emailed GGG earlier this week because I decided I finally wanted to merge my MTX onto one account.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't heard back from them. It's been like a week. So I'm curious if they're still like their support's always like the people that you deal with support. They're always amazing.
Yep.
Like how long it takes them to reply to an email, as far as I would be aware, that has nothing to do with them. It just has to do with the amount of employees they have or infrastructure. Mm-hmm. But normally that kind of stuff's replied to immediately. Like we're going to have our private league coming up at some point. I think
they said
like Justin and I actually haven't talked about it. And obviously for good reason, considering what Justin said, but April 23rd is like that's when GGG said that the
private league stuff
will be available for Freesia for pathofexile 1. But keep in mind, of course, now the beginning of April, that's what 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks after Freesia, or sorry, 0.2 comes out.
Right.
So we did say we would do it for the community. We probably will. And maybe it'll even be good for us to take a break from 2, go back to 1, then come back to 2. Be some pretty interesting comparisons there for us, especially. But the expectation, unless something screws up with Justin's and my schedule, April 23rd seems like a decent time for us to give that a shot. Or maybe something like May 10th to 20th. Sorry, actually, I think May 10th to 20th is probably our best time frame in that regard. But I don't remember why I was saying that. That came, because contacting support. So then you're going to, contact support for whatever reward system we're going to have. And hopefully it doesn't take this long. Right?
I think we're going to stick with just rewards that are Discord related.
Yeah, makes sense, especially with the current state of how things are. That makes sense. Mm-hmm. But point is, like, what if you did message them and you were looking to spend, like, when you want to spend money,
they'll probably email you back pretty quick.
Right. So anyway, it's been about a week. So I hope they're still not overwhelmed with this stuff because things are really going to start picking up with if they do once every 3 months.
Patches, yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But you know what's absolutely hilarious? Jonathan, at the very beginning of his video, did you hear what he said?
You have to be more specific.
Okay. The very first thing that Jonathan said at the beginning of his video, this is just speaking of time frame, and I'm looking forward to merging all of my MTX into my account. But speaking of time frames, he's like, it's been a little over 3 months since we released early access.
Impression 4.
4 months and 3 weeks. And by the time 0.2 comes out, it is 5 weeks.
Maybe they recorded all this stuff a month ago.
Right. So I'm like, oh man, is this going to be like the same thing where, because it's hilarious because they were talking about, what was it? There was an interview, and my apologies, I didn't look because it wasn't like an important detail in my mind. So I can't shout you out, and I'm sorry because I forget who posted it, but in our Discord, there was a funny thing about when Jonathan was talking to one of the reporters, and then, they have their articles they put out.
Okay.
And Jonathan was half joking, if not saying, there's a 65% chance that early access gets released in 2025. Right. And then he said, like, if it's not 2025, it'll be like first quarter 2026. But like but then I'm thinking, like, he's also said, now this is distant past now, but this is after they've had like 2 years worth of 4-month leagues. There's like, oh yeah, we've only had like 1 or 2 4-month leagues, when it's actually been like 6 or 7 in a row. And here it's the comment at the beginning of the video says like, yeah, it's been just over three months, and it's been over 4.5. So I love the, I don't know, almost cluelessness to time frames of how things are going on.
Just
but
doing their thing.
It wasn't, again, like, I don't care. I just found it funny. Like, I had to check my watch. I'm like, wait, have I been wrong in the podcast making fun of their time frames all this time? And I'm like, nope, they just solidified it. But yeah,
okay,
anyway,
well, let's get into this, though.
it was good. Yeah, let's private league, merging accounts, and I actually wanted to give a shout out before we get started. I know it's kind of like at that awkward side. I kind of wish I remembered to do this at the beginning of the episode so that people were guaranteed to hear it. But I want to say thank you and good luck to all the third-party tool workers and, of course, the wiki team. The wiki team's going to have an absurd time with this, trying to keep this updated. There's so many definitions and changes and like 100 new supports. Like, anyway, I want to give a big thank you to everybody that volunteers their time, whether they get paid through Patreon or whatever or not. Like, they're doing this because they want to, and then the income supplementary. Just big thank you to everybody that dedicates their time for us to make this a better experience for us. So thanks a lot.
For sure. All right, Dawn of the Hunt content. Hey, I don't actually know when is this playable? When does this actually come out?
Next Friday.
Okay, cool.
So in a week.
Nice. Yeah, I missed that part of it. So anyway, I just watched it. For me, I was excited. This is what I was hoping at least to see out of early access patches. It's not going to always address every single thing that I might be thinking about, but I love that it's big. I love that there's a lot that they're introducing, and it gets me excited to get back into playing. So overall, my overall feeling for it was really good. I was like, all right, this is fun. There's some new stuff coming, and that's what I was hoping to see, especially out of this patch, because we knew this is when they had the biggest time between, right? Like 0.1 was a little tough because it was over the holiday time. So this for me,
and it wasn't necessary, and it wasn't additions. It was just changes.
It was more fixing. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, Huntress, I was hoping Druid too, but it's cool to see.
I think everybody was.
Yeah. I mean, that will give us what, 7 of the 12? Is that right? 7 of the 12 classes. So it's going to be interesting to see what their timeline is moving forward. Because if they're releasing one class at a time in a 3-month span, it's not coming out this year. We're well into 26 before we're going to see the out of beta. But
they partially did what you wanted. Like you were talking a couple of weeks ago about, we were talking about what we were hoping for. And when we got into classes and ascendancies, you were hoping that they came out with more classes instead of filling out instead of filling out the current classes with the rest of their ascendancies. You were hoping for more classes. Well, they gave you a new class.
And then
they filled out the rest of the ascendancies.
But not even all of them. It's kind of weird. I thought that was one part that threw me a little bit. I mean, I love that the Huntress is coming out. The Huntress seems almost monkish. Like just watching the gameplay, it's got a very similar vibe to the monk, where it's very active, it's very mobile. It looks really cool. It looks like a ton of fun. but it reminded me of the monk sort of play style of dashing in and out of combat. And then, yeah, they've got the Ascendancies coming out, which I was hoping to see all of the existing classes see their remaining Ascendancies come out, but whatever. It's really, I don't really care. I'm excited to try it. I'm excited. I don't know that I'm super excited to try the Huntress, but I am excited for some of the new Ascendancies. I like that. I actually liked all of the Ascendancies that they showed, besides the Mercenary, because I just haven't played it. I don't know why. It's just the only class I haven't played. But they look cool. It looks fun.
They do. What do you think of the title? Oh, sorry. Go ahead. No, you go ahead. I was going to say, are you going to be able to remember? Because I need notes to remember. I have this written down, so
pretty
it's not sporadic. Okay. Yeah, totes. So the YouTube video, you just watched it. But I always have to actually take a few seconds to make sure it's the right video. I've looked up this reveal video now that they've had for point 2 a few times. One to show my son. I had to watch it first to make sure it was appropriate, and for the most part it is. And then so he was interested in seeing it. And then I looked it up for you, and I looked it up for some other reason later on. Anyway, every time I have to double check, because you know how GGG titled this? Did you notice what it was actually titled?
Dawn of the Hunt content reveal. That's what I see.
And then?
Yeah. And then? What else?
No, and then? Where's that from? Oh, that's probably not PC anymore. But what's the title when you look at the screen? The clip art or whatever.
2, Dawn of the Hunt. Oh, I don't see that up, so I can't see what that is. What is it?
It's a logo, right? It's their logo, and it says "Big End Game Changes."
Oh, okay.
And so I see that first before I see the title, and I'm like, "Oh man,
At least they left that part to the end. It was good that they did it. Oh, hold on, taking a break. Taz got to let the dog.
Stretchy cord, just
you do.
We're all good.
You're all set. The end game stuff was cool, and I assume we'll probably get to that. But I like that that wasn't what this point 2 is. Like the point 2 is bringing in a lot more than just the end game stuff. So
totally. But you could see where their mentality is, or someone's mentality is regarding the community.
Well, they're trying to appease the people that they have to though. They just have to, because people play Path of Exile for the end game. So I get the position
they put themselves in by releasing it when they did. Now they always have to care about it,
which is good. That's not bad. It's just, we'll see how it goes with the other stuff. I like for me, the stuff that is not end game that will sort of help through the campaign and stuff. I think it's fun to see the Wisp thing coming out through campaign. Obviously, boatloads of supports and new active skills. Like that helps through the campaign. That's character progression. That's character creation. Like that. I think that's really good. So that part excites me for the learning of your character, for building up the power of your character. And then the end game stuff is great for once you've sort of figured that out, and how all of that stuff sort of ties in at the end, I think is cool.
Yeah. And one of the things that was disappointing was that they didn't touch on loot. They touched on loot in like new aspects,
uniques,
and end game aspects and crafting aspects, which is very cool.
Really
love that.
Cool.
But in terms of like drops and how drops work, and there was nothing about the campaign. I get it. But even though that wasn't directly specified, when you add these extra components, these league mechanics, like when you look back at Path of Exile 1, the majority of your dropped content, though dropped content wasn't necessary, it was always done just through I know how Path of Exile 1 was. It was you craft it from scratch. It very rarely was that dropped item exactly what you wanted or close to what you wanted. But here, even though drops and drop rates and all that kind of stuff was and has been a big topic of conversation in the community, when you add these mechanics that add these possibility for big rewards as you're going through the campaign, that could be a fix in itself. And maybe that's what they're relying on. The more mechanics that get added to campaign, it's not necessarily your generic monster drops, but kind of like when we do our private leagues in Path of Exile 1, and we think about doing, no stash or no trade. It's the league mechanic itself that provides the best items, or has the possibility of providing the best items. And maybe that'll be the case here. It just didn't seem like it in the first go around, the first 5 months, because there wasn't a lot of mechanics introduced through the campaign. right? So maybe as they add these, like the wisp stuff and changes to essences and all that kind of stuff as you go through the campaign, maybe that's where your gear comes from. And that was always the long-term plan. So despite the fact that they didn't touch on things that were specifically the things that I was hoping they were going to touch on, they could be fixed inadvertently. And so I am excited to see the entire picture as I start a new character and go forward.
I think it's really cool to see the changes they're coming out with regards to the crafting side of it, because one of the hardest things I've always struggled with, Ethan and I were talking about this too, is just the lack of the crafting bench when you're so used to it in Path of Exile 1. But seeing how they're changing up some of these runes, obviously essences are going to be a massive difference coming up, like, and fracturing orbs, like things coming out that let you craft now in new ways, I think is exciting. I hope that with regards to the runes, like now that they're tiering them, I'm really hoping they add a tab for that, because they don't have a specific spot. And now you're adding two additional tiers to each one. I don't know where you're supposed to store all of them. But I like that they're doing it. I like that they're making it so it's not just always go for the flat damage. Now you can actually get a tiered rune that can help you with other things. And the fact that they made them replaceable, I think, is great. So I'm excited to see how it works out. And I don't know that I'm leaning towards any new Ascendancy specifically. I actually just want to go and look at the trees. I don't know if they're out. They're probably out. I haven't even looked. But seeing them specifically in the nodes would be fun.
Well, kudos to GGG for having a big Path of Exile 2 website upgrade for this release. It looks great on mobile,
cool.
Yeah, and they have some really good. It's a better experience for sure, and they released 2 new support packs kind of new support packs that are available, including video, on their website, Path of Exile 2. But if you want any information, specifics, it's not on the website.
Yeah,
that was kind of frustrating. You're right. I want to go to pathofexile2.com.
It's not happening, Tyler.
To see.
It's not happening.
But it's so weird. Again, they did such a great job updating the website and making sure that it's good and ready for the announcement. It's not 3 or 2 weeks later like their actual early access release. So all up to date and on path. But I went and I saw on our Discord that all the nodes were revealed for the new Ascendancies.
Cool.
I'm like, oh, sweet. And I went to pathofexile2.com.
Wrong place, Ty.
And I'm
Wrong
like,
place.
Yeah, it was. I was like, where are they?
I assume they're on
there.
like
so
the PoE planner things and like the path
not
building.
Yet, no.
Oh, really?
They will be, but they're not updated yet. So I had to actually go back to the Discord, and they're only on the Discord as far as I know. So I had to click on the pictures there, and then I sent them to my WhatsApp. So
how did you see what each individual node was?
They have them displayed on pictures, but I had to go through our Discord, which connects to their Discord.
Yeah.
So that's what I was doing. But it was fun to go through, and there is actually one that I'd like to go through with you today, the one that suits me the most. But
can I guess that it's the which one? The new witch? What's it called? Ritualist?
Lich.
Oh, Lich. Oh, yeah. Looked so
cool. The Ritualist is the Huntress.
Ritualist was the Huntress. That's right. The Huntress one looks cool.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. I mean, a companion. How cool.
Who doesn't want a
companion? Right. But then I didn't see any minion nodes for it. So I was like, maybe I misunderstood. So I watched again. No, there's a companion, but I didn't really see much minion stuff there. But that was cool. Parrying is a thing, though that's not Huntress specific, but parrying. An extra ring slot.
I was trying to figure out why would you block if you could parry? Parry typically in the games that I've ever played, parry was like a timed skill, right? You think Dark Souls, you had to time it. Now parry's not. It's your. I assume maybe you get less block. I don't really understand it because it looks like it blocks all the damage and you get a bonus. Why on earth would you play as a warrior with a big block? I'm probably missing something, but.
I think I'm missing something too, because if it's one of those reactionary skills where you actually have to hit a button at the proper time, I hope not, because
it wasn't.
If it is, I don't think we're playing the same game. Because
they had the Huntress just holding down the block, and it was doing the thing. So that's why I was trying to figure out, like, why would you block?
Maybe it's the evasion version of like the heavy shield where you're just blocking.
But why?
And
why would you want to go the heavy shield route if the parry is giving you these bonuses? The block doesn't give I've not seen anything. I don't know. I'm sure there's something
balance
I'm missing
that out at some point, but it's still cool to have that parry added to the game. And of course, it probably has some sort of conjunction with that faster monk and hunter's playstyle.
It looks cool how you could. Monk is a class, but it looked cool how you could use parry with other skills, and that like how that all combines. The one thing with the Huntress, why it reminded me of Monk, is it made me think of actively trying to play my character, like not just easily just, okay, I press this button. This is like, okay, I need to do this, then I need to lead into this, then I do a spin, then I need tornadoes that time. You know what I mean? Like it just seemed like a lot of stuff, but their ascendancies look cool. But I obviously knew which ascendancy. The Lich, come on. It was curses and minions. I was like, Tyler's wetting himself.
I was. I was walking around with the half world. I had to put a textbook in front of myself as I was walking around telling the kids, bossing the kids around. But no, the Lich suits me and it doesn't. And like now that I've read the nodes for the Lich, I'm not as excited about it as I was when I was watching the video. But it's not a criticism. It's just like how personal preference works. I have builds in my head already, but it's the Occultist. Easily, it's like a copy of the Occultist, but it's way better. And it has way more versatility. Like one thing that the Occultist was the perfect example for me for Path of Exile 1, where you felt like you had to do something. And you had to be that class. You know what I mean? Power charges, right? Is something that both the Lich and the Occultist share. Chaos damage is something that it shares. Energy shield focus is something that they share. And then minor minion benefits, not necessarily something to plan around, but minion-y stuff.
But that is good because it doesn't make you feel like you have to go that direction.
Right.
Which
now,
I like.
In Path of Exile 1, there was a huge amount of curse efficiency in the Occultist, whereas there's no curse efficiency in the Lich, which I think is really smart. There's curse area of effect, but that's nowhere near as important.
Like you have to have it.
As right. Whereas when you're missing like a huge amount of curse efficiency, you're like, how do I not be this ascendancy? So that was really good. On the energy shield side, they have life benefits as well. Like you're not married to energy shield. You're not married to CI. There's a good balance of being CI or hybrid or just life and having some energy shield perks as long as you don't run out. There's a really cool socket in the Ascendancy, which was really neat. That what was it? It doubles Lich?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Let me send you the picture. What's better, WhatsApp or Discord?
Doesn't matter.
Okay, just a sec. Let me send you the picture, and I got to run to the bathroom while you take a quick peek at it. All right, did you have time?
Yep, we're back.
Okay, my I was going to say my buddy's sons. My son's buddies are going to be here shortly, so we'll be interrupted again in a little bit here. But so you saw that ring slot, right?
Crystalline phylactery.
Yeah, 100% increased effect of socketed basic jewels, non-unique basic jewels. So that's really, really cool. But there's definitely mana penalties. Like keystones to me are the design of here's some really cool positive effects with that negative effect. Maybe you can like completely negate the negative effect or work around it, whether you eliminate it or invest slightly to get rid of it. But for some, I don't remember there being negative effects, like ascendancy nodes being treated like keystones. To me, they were always just positive. Like, hey, like this is part of your leveling experience.
Conduit? That's the only one I could think of that where it's to lose mana per second or
right. Yeah, I want to get to that one. But even crystalline phylactery, where it's phylactery. Oh, I said it right the first time. But anyway, it says can socket one non-unique basic jewel, 100% increased effect of sockets, but 50% more mana cost if you have no energy shield.
I feel like there's nodes within ones where it has that. Where it has some sort of change to the way that you play.
Ascendancy node, though, not a keystone?
Yeah, I think so. That one made me laugh because I just instantly think of CI and being like, I don't care. I'm dead if I have no...
Right, exactly. But then, like, the one that really interests me, and the only one that actually really interests me a lot, is you can apply an additional curse. Your curses can affect hex-proof enemies. I love that. Always like
and
that.
And you get Unholy Might on the way there for you and your allies. The necromantic conduit.
But that comes with lose 5% mana per second.
I think you could overcome that pretty easy.
Lose is multiplicative. Then that's per second. It's not per cast. It's per second. So, but curses cost like 400 to 500 per curse. Like 5% a second. You're all of a sudden needing. Now, again, I haven't played with it, so maybe it's because I'm already needing to invest so much in mana regen. Maybe that lose 5% per second doesn't matter. But I also like, why? Like, they're not keystones. I don't
for fun.
Why add the negative aspect? I'm leveling up. I got to choose 4 of these. Why throw the negatives in? I don't get it.
I mean, if you go that left side to go for the additional curse, you kind of stay to the left side the whole time because you get Necromantic Conduit and you get the Unholy Might. You kind of want Blackened Heart, which means your whole Ascendancy is picked out. Although, hold on, to get to Crystalline Phylactery, though, you would lose one of your Ascend. Oh, interesting.
So like Crystalline Phylactery is one of those where it's like, it's awesome, but you're only picking it if you don't like the end of one of the other branches but I only like the ones at the end of the branches. I'm getting the ones that come in lieu of, you know what I mean? So it's one of those where I love the curse aspect, but the stuff that come, the benefits, like I like Unholy Might, and I'm glad that Unholy Might is now just extra damage, right? It used to be, and now it is like that in Path of Exile as well, but they changed Unholy Might recently in Path of Exile 1 within the last year. It used to be damage conversion. Now it's added damage or extra damage, no matter the damage type that you're doing, which is nice. So that does have a really nice benefit, but also I forget, what does Chaos Damage do in Path of Exile 2 now? It's different now. Oh, it doesn't bypass Energy Shield. It's just Energy Shield's weakness. It does more damage, extra damage against Energy Shield compared to life, but it still does. Okay, yeah. Anyway, so it's cool, right?
Yeah, I like it. Plus, hold on.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say you get the added benefit of being a witch. So if you're wanting to go minion, you're getting all that, benefit early on for being the witch. And also now we've got specters, which is,
oh my goodness,
really cool how they did it. Like really the fact that you use it and you see like just what I saw really quickly in the video, the what you're seeing on the screen where here's the characters you can pick from. It tells you the spirit cost if you take them.
Right.
What's happening?
It says the spirit cost on the corpse before you click on anything.
Yeah. Hold on. What is going on with this thing? Whoop.
Justin's been gone for 2 weeks, and so now his whole setup's just rebelling against them.
Everything just doesn't like me. That's too dark. Whatever. The
it looks
really cool.
It does. It looks really cool. I love that there's going to be, and I mean, that's modifiable, so who cares how it's released, but in terms of spirit cost for different types of enemies, I mean, to go through that much, like who's the person that has to go through each of these enemies and determine their value spirit cost wise based on, okay, well, what would this be like based on all that? Now, I love how Jonathan worded it. When he worded the introduction to Spectres in the video, he said, and now it's finally ready to be released or whatever it is, or we finally completed it. And I can imagine how impossibly difficult this is. But I hope that when he says we finally completed it, it means from the user perspective as well, not just completed it on their end, but completed it on our end.
From a user perspective, it looks great. Being able to have it auto-resing just like you would have your other minions, to me, is awesome. I don't have to worry about losing that Spectre. I don't have to, like, that to me is great.
I agree. It needs to come with the menu side too. I need to know what kind of damage this enemy does. I need to know what kind of skills it does. I need to know if it spells.
Well, you probably wouldn't know that until you actually make it your Spectre.
Oh, 100%. But
the minion, have you seen the minion?
I hope that it's released with those tabs.
Right, because the minion tabs are impressive in PoE 2. When you go to the minion one and look at it, seeing all the specific stuff is great. I imagine they've done that with Spectres, which makes it an impossibly massive job. But I would imagine they will have the exact same tabs that the minions have, where you can see all of that information. I'd be
That's
shocked.
What I'm saying. I hope when he says completed, that it's completed from the user's side as well as their back end as well. Yeah, I really like that. And hopefully this comes with the addition of minions being included in the character screen, like DPS wise.
What do you mean?
From the controller support standpoint, it's not like, the character screen, when you're changing things around you can see your DPS for attacks and stuff like that. Minions aren't included with those DPS. You still don't know what your DPS is. It's like,
but you can, if you switch out your gear while you're in the minion characters tab. Because I've done that, where you can actually go, instead of from your character screen and looking at the skills, if you go into the skill and then go to the minion tab, you can see a difference when you swap out gear. You just have to go the extra step to look at the minions.
Oh, maybe that's
tab.
only on PC.
Well, that was controller support on PC, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't imagine you don't have that on console, but because the controller on PC acts very similar, I imagine, to how it is on console. I haven't played on console, so I can't speak for that.
Yeah, menus are a bit different, but yeah.
I noticed that was the only spot where I could actually see the difference as I swapped out gear, was not from the skill screen, but going into the skill screen, into the skill, and then going to the minions tab or whatever it is on the top.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's cool.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see that.
Spectres are really, I mean, that can take up enough of its time as well. I'm curious when they unlock. They did show it on the screen, but they don't have the patch notes out yet. So I'm taking that as a grain of salt. Like,
well, it was in the middle, which was good, which is like 30-ish, 30 or 40, level 30 or 40 was the middle of it, which I was really happy with, because that's one of the things that's bothered me with PoE 2 is how much stuff is gated way too later in your leveling. But then also endgame, which they brought out all the endgame stuff. It looks cool. I like that they've cleaned up like how you get through the progression for the Atlas points. I still think, I mean, I haven't played it yet, so I don't know for sure, but they didn't touch on any of the idea of being able to progress those additional Atlas trees any earlier, which means the stuff like Breach and Expedition is still gated behind like doing a lot of breaches to get the stones to then do the bosses. So we'll see. Dog's all good.
She's asking to go in and out and in and out and in and out. So I just told her to stay in her basket. But no, I hear you. I agree. What?
You might have another point, but Rogue Exiles was really cool.
Rogue Exiles. I see. That's something I always really wanted to like and always tolerated in Path of Exile 1. The only reason I always specced out of them, but then forgot why I hated them and then went back into them and loved it, but then I hated it and specced out of it in Path of Exile 1. Was just because of mod combos, GGG's apathy to horrendous combos, and then of course the whole arch nemesis style of like bestiary, essence, warlord mods, like not explaining what any of them mean, type of thing.
My
so you have no idea what you're fighting
this time, so I'm turning it off.
Okay,
so you got that picture for the rest of the.
Oh, you're not even. Oh man, let's just turn off Discord and come back.
Whatever. I don't think it's going to change anything.
I think it will, but anyway, with Rogue Exile, let's do it.
All right. I guess I'll write back. It's gonna be the most disconnected episode ever. Sorry.
It's okay. Did you have an update?
No, I pulled out the camera because I don't know what it is with this. What's the adapter I use for this camera? I need to just buy just a shitty webcam. I'll bet you it would more consistently stay up. Okay, sorry. Rogue Exiles. I know you talked. We're talking about what you didn't like. But I think they're going to be harder. I think they're actually going to be harder.
But way cooler. It seems like they're like a way better individual fight. It's like they've changed the base mechanics. But the thing that excites me the most about it is even if they kept them the exact same as Path of Exile 1, GGG is more cognizant of stupid. I'm not saying that I'm completely on board with what they consider to be fun mods and frustrating mods, but they're much more cognizant of crappy mods. Like they've removed a lot of crappy mods that were in PoE 1. Hopefully that's because they're crappy to play with, not because they're coming soon. But with that in mind, adding that new mod concept to Rogue Exiles to me just makes them 100 light years better anyway. And just like the whole mini boss aspect, I love it. But now that they've actually put like a complete restructuring behind them, I'm going to have such a difficult time never playing with them. Like I always
hope
want
that
to
they're
be
random though, because the way that they showed it is like this person has these two uniques. I would hope there's something that changes. So because otherwise the Rogue Exiles could become old relatively quick. If you don't care about the particular unique that thing drops, if it's always carrying the same ones. So I hope there's some randomness to it, but they do look like hard, fun fights, which I'm excited for.
I hope it is. Yeah. I'd be curious to see where and how they spawn, how that works.
Mm-hmm.
I forget if they said it was happening in campaign or if it's only in maps.
I feel like it was in campaign as well.
So I'm curious because sometimes there's a lot of rares in that campaign on one map, and all of a sudden you throw in a rogue exile, and I'm like, all right, I'm out for the day. I'll see you tomorrow. So, but I mean, that's the Path of Exile experience too. But I'm really curious. I was very excited to see them being added to the game, despite the fact that I wanted campaign changes. But again, like one of those things, you have wisps, you have the rogue exiles, you have changes to the current mechanics, strong campaign. Boxes. Yeah, definitely. And so it changes the looting experience as well, your power as you go through. Looking forward to it. It'll be really interesting. On the Spectre thing, though, that Roa,
the one you see the skill or the
it's a minion that you can fight next to you too.
Right,
you can choose to ride it if you want to. Come on, that's kind of cool.
That one also was, I think, relatively early on. Like it wasn't late in the leveling experience to unlock it, if I remember correctly. But yeah, it's a cool thing. I was trying to think like, what if I'm a warrior? That seems so weird to run around with a two-handed mace.
Well, you'd be like, what's his face in Elden Ring riding his puny little horse?
Right, yeah.
But I think it'd be cool. I mean, it's probably dex heavy.
Yeah.
Right. So it's probably pretty difficult, depending on when it unlocks, pretty difficult to level it up and still be a physical beefcake riding around on your Roa. But the Roa looks pretty sturdy.
It looks fun.
Yeah. I think it'll be pretty neat. I like the pros and cons without having actually played it of riding
taking too much damage and then getting stunned.
Yeah. And then it's not like it changes your movement speed at all, right? It's I don't know why you would go on it if it doesn't change your movement speed.
Yeah, they said that it would move at your full movement speed. So I wonder if it can still be slowed. Because
I'm curious.
Does it also
what the benefits are of hopping on it?
Does it protect me from ground effects? Because that would be awesome. I know it won't, but that would be awesome.
Yeah. That was one of the things Erin said she was laughing at was like they asked, I think it was Ziggy asked why or what was going on with that. And Jonathan was just like, I just wanted it in the game.
Yeah.
Like I just really wanted it. And he was like starting to get quite like funny about it. And so that was really cute. But yeah, interesting to see what that strength is like too, right? And if you could have more than one, or if you're limited to one because
it's
a mount,
skill,
how
so
that
you'd be
works.
limited to one because it counts as a skill. It's no different than taking a skill gem.
Well, right, but maybe because it's a minion.
Yeah.
So maybe there's no minion limit count like there would be for zombies or skeletons or whatever it is, depending on the spirit. Maybe you can have two. Right. And if it does or it doesn't, that'd be an interesting thing. It seems like it's persistent.
Yeah.
Right. So it would, in that case, if it's following the same rules, if it is, because it's a mount, so who knows if it follows the same rules, it would have a spirit count. So maybe you could have more than one and you just hop on one for whatever the benefits are for hopping
just
on
hop between the two of them while you're fighting.
Like an action movie. Oh, yeah. I'll avoid this train, jump to the next one.
I'm sort of just going through their chapters because I didn't make any notes. Obviously, I just watched it. One thing that made me laugh though is when they talked about support gems, and they have a new support gem. I think it was like syzygy, and Jonathan actually says, "Yes, that's a real word."
Yeah,
I love it because we talked about that before. Like, who is the person that knows or comes up with these words?
Yeah. But I want to give whoever that person is, hopefully it's the same person, but if it's multiple people, congratulations to all of you. We think you're very brilliant. But just the idea of like coming up with these kind of words before AI was a thing, which like AI has only become relatively relevant in everybody's lives in the last few years for the most part. So somebody's going through in a non-AI world coming up with all these crazy words. Of course, now, I'm sorry, but your skills now are relevant because AI exists. But
I hope they just open a dictionary and they're like, throw a finger down. They're like, all right, let's use this word. Syzygy.
That's right. Let's come up with a skill for this word right here.
Can I even find what that word is? Syzygy. There's no, I can't even spell it. Syzygy. Syzygy. A conjunction or opposition, especially of the moon with the sun. Oh, okay. That's a good dictionary word.
Opposite.
The moon with the sun. That's where you got the Solaris thing because they were talking about the skills. Anyway,
that's right. That's exactly it, Justin.
I love that it's a word. Anyway, that made me laugh.
Yeah, who comes up with the word and be like, "Yep, that's right." That's what we wanted.
Well, I can make that work.
Mm-hmm. It's like they're in love with another language, but we don't have enough of those like words. And so they're just like, no, this is it.
Just
This
at
is
a
what it's
meeting,
gonna mean.
somebody threw that one out and everybody's like, that's hilarious. You came up with that word. And they're like, no, it's real. What else we got?
100 supports, man. 100 supports. Right. So
that's awesome.
I'm
and
really curious. So
new skills, I think.
Something. Well, I mean, 24, 5 for just the Huntress alone. I mean, obviously that's not restricted to the Huntress, but designed for that play style. So you know me, I'm minions, and I want to level with as a stereotypical minion build, not cast. But none of that was really specifically touched on. But again, 100 supports. I'm really curious how these 100 supports are going to help me level with like all the skeletons that I want, right? Or like right now, for example, I'm leveling, and maybe the patch notes includes tons of changes for spirit cost and a whole bunch. Who knows what they're changing that they didn't mention in the video? But I'm like, right now, what do I have? 2 frost mages that I can summon, and I'm like trying to beat that like floating guy in a really narrow square that unlocks the fog or the sandstorm or something like that. What is it called?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I know who you're talking about.
I forget what they're
Act
called,
2
but
guy.
anyway,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and that's where I'm at. But I got 2 skeletons. Like that's all I have,
Get
right?
more,
And I'm trying to play through. Yeah, okay, yeah. I'll just order that second scepter that I can't dual wield. But anyway, the point, like I'm just curious. Like that's what I picture when I'm like, okay, 100 new supports. How can these supports help me play my build? And so I'm really curious to go through it. I mean, like my first 6 broadcasts of playing PoE2 are just gonna be reading, right?
Fun,
where
though.
these
That's
skills,
exciting.
yeah.
Hearing,
I think it was Eben's voice. I'm not sure if it was, but hearing the voice going, Raise Spectre, Flame Wall. Well, yeah, like I'm going through it. There's a lot to check out and unlock now, right? So
it was funny when they were doing the supports. They're like, and here's a few examples, but then they just showed them on the screen, and I was like, I'm not reading that. I'll just wait till they come out.
Well, yeah, and you know what? For any new players too, that's a very safe way to play. Like, there's a lot of new terms, a lot of new ailments, a lot of different everything. Just take whatever interests your build, right? Whatever it is, the kind of idea, just stick there and go with it, and then you'll learn that, and then you'll learn something else later. You don't have to learn everything.
Did you have anything else that was pre-endgame stuff? Like endgame to me looks cool. I think they've done a good job. I want to play it to really grasp. Like, I like that they've decreased how many towers there are. They've made it so you could potentially have multiple tablets on them.
Okay.
I definitely like that they finally got the hint that dying sucks and have made at least some adjustments to that. I thought
it was a really good compromise what they did with map attempts. Like, they're still trying to keep the game hardcore, but depending on, was it the number of modifiers or the rarity? No, I think it was the number of modifiers you had. I don't know if it was a difficulty modifier or number of but it was, you start off, like if you're doing like a normal waystone, you start off with 6 attempts, 6 portals, but everybody gets 6. It's not 6 for the party, it's 6 for you, which I thought was really, or maybe that's just bosses. I'll have to watch it again, but, and then, like as you add mods and you turn it into a magic and you add more modifiers.
I thought it was a tier. Like, as you got up towards T15s, that's when it decreased. But I could be wrong. I don't remember.
No, I think it was based on modifiers, because eventually, like, you're choosing, okay, this is getting harder, but it's going to lower my attempts. And you can see the number of portals
is it on the waystone?
As cool. It is on the waystone, where it would also show what tier it is.
Cool.
And so, but it'll show like one portal. And then, of course, they made it so that respawn attempts for bosses,
their changes like for pinnacle bosses is amazing. First off, they brought back in that you could try them 6 times, which was great. But now that they said they don't give XP and you don't lose XP is an amazing change, because it lowers the risk.
They don't give XP.
100%. It's a pinnacle boss. I could not care less, because the amount of XP I'm going to get from it is probably not meaningful anyway. I would way rather take that I will not get XP, but that I cannot lose XP, because it makes it so that I can learn the boss fight without going like, I got to wait until I hit 91. This has happened to me all through PoE 1 and was in PoE 2. I've unlocked the ability to go do this pinnacle boss, but I need to wait until I level first. And taking that away is awesome because now I can go and try it. I'm not risking 6 attempts is 60% of my level. I'm not risking that at level 90 to try the boss. So the ability to now not have to worry about, okay, I need to first level and then I'll go try some of this harder stuff. I think that's amazing. I love that change.
Yeah, you bring up a good point. I don't like inconsistency, like when rules change throughout the game. Like, oh, you weren't like the idea that you don't earn XP in an ARPG bothers me. But at the same time, everything you said makes right. Exactly. It makes perfect sense. And like they were saying in the Q&A, I was in and out for the Q&A because of the time of day and all that kind of stuff. But I did hear the part where Mark's like, the fact that you're not going to do pinnacle content that you're ready for, but the reason that you're not is because you're 40% XP into a level.
Yes.
He's like, that does suck. So I get it. It's just, I wish that they're like, I don't have a better idea. So this is a good change in terms of that. But it's just, I wish that there was a way that they could do it. So you're not like, okay, this is the rule for this one. This is the rule for this one. This is what happens. Because now you have to put that in the game somewhere too, right? At some point in the game, they have to say to the user needs to be aware you're not going to lose XP for this fight. So where do they put that? Like you do need to communicate that to the user without them just needing to be staring at their XP bar and then be like, why is the rule different here? No way, that's got it. And then all of a sudden you're getting glitch, like bug reports.
I'm sure it's somewhere on there, but I also could not care less. Like I don't care.
Of course. The change is good overall, you think?
I think it's amazing. It was one of my favorite things to hear because I have experienced that all through my Path of Exile forever. Path of Exile 1 and Path of Exile 2, which is I'm ready. I've unlocked what I need to do this difficult fight, but I need to level first. And it's not always a great feeling to be like excited that you finally unlocked the ability to do this pinnacle boss, but you can't do it at the risk of 60% of my life. And the fact is, you're not doing pinnacle bosses later for XP. You're doing it for the drops. You're not doing it because you want to try and level and get XP. When you want to level and get XP, you're doing maps. That's where the XP comes from. So for me, it's a massively awesome trade-off. I was very excited about that one.
That's cool. There were a lot of endgame changes. Were there any others that stood out to you? I know you were in a way rushing the video, but was there anything else that really stood out to you?
I like it that they've hopefully simplified unlocking the Atlas, because that was one thing that bothered me with PoE 2 currently, is that in PoE 1, when you get to maps, that the most exciting part about getting to maps was the Atlas points. As I complete them, I get to start building out and thinking about my Atlas. PoE 2 gated it way too far to actually start unlocking those Atlas points. So I think they've made it easier. They really brushed over it, so they didn't give a whole lot of detail as to how that quest line works right after you get to maps, but hopefully that part's easier. I like what they've done with this whole like corruption clearing the boss and then it becomes cleansed, and there's different bonuses to whether you're fighting in corruption or cleansed maps. Like that's actually pretty fun. I'm excited to at least try that out.
It's returning, like it's an interesting thing, because the very first thing I thought of when they started talking about that there's a different set of pros and cons for cleansed monsters versus the corrupted monsters. Yeah. The Elder
Shaper and
Elder fight, when you were fighting and moving that influence back and forth, and you were desperately trying to get it to include your 4 guardian it was, wait, which one's the guardians and which one? No, yeah. The conquerors are the new ones. The guardians were the original ones. Oh man, you remember that map? Even the Atlas looked rad, where you had the chimera shapes on the, and just even the logos that they had. That was the day when I loved looking at the logos and like hoping to discover what they meant or interact with that character, discover who that was. It was really neat. And this kind of brings that old school method back of, there's that extra detail of management.
Yeah, it's not just go do the map. You're actually thinking ahead a little bit as to how you want to do it. And I love it.
Yeah, it's a little bit more, not necessarily kind of RTSC, kind of 4X gameplay. I mean, it's not, nowhere near, but you're adding that extra element of, it's more than just spamming loot and shoving loot in and increasing whatever number. You're doing that little extra content to get there. And I don't know, maybe it's just because you and I really love the whole Elder and
Shaper stuff,
the Shaper Elder stuff. It seemed really cool.
It
so I'm
is
looking
cool.
forward to seeing what that is, seeing what the game's like when you're apathetic towards it, and seeing what the game's like when you really focus on the specific rewards that either or could provide you.
I'm excited to see the new unique maps that they've added too. Besides Calandra, as soon as I saw that one, I was like, ugh, that freaking map.
Old man tools. Oh, old man.
I'm just gonna leave that one
toolsy.
in. I just don't like the layout of that map. I always hated it, but I like. It looks like they've added a cooler reward to the end. So
yeah,
they took stuff actually from. What's the one with the thieves and stuff in PoE1 where you're working Heist? They've took some of the rewards from Heist and put them into that, so that's cool.
Oh, I was laughing to myself. It wasn't a criticism. I was just laughing to myself especially as the Calandra actual lake pool came up. I'm like, they can't let go. Hey,
no, somebody loves it.
If that asset, if they're there, they're using them. Like I was like, because you have the Rogue Exiles, you have the Wisps, you have like everything that's in the game. Again, like of course you're going to use it if it's good content.
Especially
find a way to make it work,
fun.
and exactly. But there was the side of me that was also laughing about like, just let go, man, just let go.
It is a cool design. It's just like the idea behind it was really cool. It's just the layouts were always god awful. Like you'd think you could run through something, and they're like, nah. That's a tiny stone or something.
PoE2 is loaded with that stuff, unfortunately, in their maps as well, where I'm having to stare at the mini map because I'm like, why can't I go through this? What is this? And then there's something that I can't even see that on the mini map is like this big no-go zone.
There's some maps that are like, it's a hill. I'm like, well, I just walked over a hill. Why can't I walk over this hill?
Yeah, but to couple it with Calandra had a very mixed reaction in its Path of Exile 1 release, and part of it, even just from a gameplay perspective, was its collision detection for the first 3 weeks to a month, if I remember correctly, was, like you said, really awful. And so maybe it's just one of those things where, I'm sure. Like, look at how much attention they've put into bringing Wisps back that isn't directly tied to the rituals.
How they're doing it.
And then you have like how much attention they've put into Spectres instead of rushing it. Like I'm taking my time with it. And then look at Rogue Exiles. Rogue Exiles. Who needs to bring back Rogue Exiles? I feel like I'm the only person on the planet that's loved Rogue Exiles for the entire decade that they've been out. And they're like, yeah, let's bring them back. But we're not just going to bring them back. We're going to start from the ground up. What are the things we like? What can we add? So, I mean, who cares how any of this content was released or extended in Path of Exile 1. I'm quite excited to see how all of this flows together. One thing that was already brought up by Ziggy, and then the seed was planted, as he would say to both Jonathan and Mark, was like, is there a way that we can mesh together all of our crafting tables? Because we already have now in Path of Exile 2, with this release, we're going to have 100 different crafting tables for 100 different things. Is there a way we can mesh them all together in our hideout for one thing? And part of the hesitation from the developer side was lore, right? Kind of like when you got rid of Navali, who's going to take over being able to sell all the gems. Somehow they added it to Lily. Maybe Kick and Cat Noodle knows how that works, but to me, Lily's just some pirate, and somehow she has the ability to sell all these gems. Maybe that's against lore and they don't care, but whatever. So in this game, like they were like, well, in the campaign, you can't really, but maybe once you get to your hideout, we can come up with a way for. So, they got the seed planted. Mark was like, yeah, maybe. So that'll be pretty cool. I'm a big one-stop shop kind of guy.
I saw that they added the recombination, which is cool. It's all connected to Expedition. The only thing I hope is that they fixed crafting with Expedition. I don't know if it ever came up, but so you can actually just use the stuff from your inventory, because that drove me crazy.
Oh, that specifically, I don't know, but they added the crafting they added the ability to craft with Expedition and added those elements to it. So I'm sure they added, and even if they haven't, those quality of life features will be added very quickly.
Like right now, if you go, I might be wrong because there have been updates since I've last played, but it drove me crazy that when I would go to the 3 different people with Expedition to buy their stuff, I had to make sure I brought the currency with me. And I was like, this doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Anyway. Kind of like how everybody just waited for Lily in the first game, even though that was half It was 3 acts later, just so you didn't have to deal with Siosa, where you actually had to bring your currency with you.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah. Anyway, for me, I'm excited. I'm very excited to play 0.2. I've been waiting a while to get back into it. I like that it's going to be starting fresh. Like that they're going to do sort of standard stays as a standard and you can keep playing your characters, or you can, here's the new league. I don't, is it called Dawn of the Hunt? I don't know if that's what the league is.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And
I'm good for that.
I was hearing conflicting things, but it's just a normal league launch, except it's early access. People were saying like, oh, I'm surprised there's no wipe or anything like that. And even though GGG can easily change their mind on anything, they said at the beginning they weren't going to do any wipes.
Keep it standard.
That's right. That's right. And if you want GGG to care about your opinion, don't play standard. If you want to have a valid post, you need to play with a new character in the new league. That is paraphrasing what they said, and I'm excited to start fresh. I'm excited that there is a witch, like you said, a witch ascendancy, so I can take advantage of the first 2 clusters. That interests me, and I'm very curious to play with it. I'm very curious to see how easy or not that lose 5% mana per second. Again, that could be something that's easily modified in any patch, but that's like my biggest hiccup with what I want to do. So I hope it's not extremely impacting to the point where I need to invest so much that I can't actually do any of the build that I want to do. But I'm very excited to start fresh. But Jonathan also had a passing comment in the Q&A with Ziggy. He also did a Q&A, or is going to do a Q&A with Gazi and the other popular guy that he interviews with.
Cool.
But Jonathan said that the passive tree is changing.
Okay.
So for any standard players that don't want to restart, your whole tree is going to need a full respec, which they'll give you for free likely, because that's what they do in PoE 1. But with this one, like the tree is changing. So now it's making me think, okay, wonder what, like first thing I'm going to do when I have the ability to check is, okay, what are the starting nodes for the sorceress and what are the starting nodes for the witch, and compare them to what they used to be. See if that's changed. See if pathing's changed to any of the curse clusters, right? I mean, a big curse for me anyway, a big curse Ascendancy has come out. Are they changing the curse clusters, the curse values, the pathing to get there, what the notables are? So I'm really curious to see how much the tree changes. That's my favorite, man. Just playing with the tree, figuring things out. I feel like I've completed a 2,000 piece puzzle when I finally have like, yes, I'm happy with my tree.
Sweet.
So it's cool. Next Friday, what are you doing? Say playing Path of Exile 2.
At some point, I'll be playing Path of Exile 2.
You're playing Path of Exile.
We'll be probably recording late that one, but yeah, that's exciting.
Yes, we will be. Yes, that's right.
Or maybe the next day. We'll see. We're getting old. Nighttime things are hard.
We are.
All right, let's wrap this up then. Forever Exiled. I'm Justin AK Tags.
I'm Tyler, Wrecker of Days.
Patrons, we'll catch you in After Dark. Everybody else, we'll see you next week with the launch of Dawn of the Hunt in 287. And what do we got? If you're looking for more information, you find down below. We got a website, foreverexiled.com. We have the best Discord. We didn't even shout it out, but it is the best place. Come hang out, say hi. And Patreon, other way to support the podcast. You'll find them. Look down or around or on the website. It's there.
It's just website, man. It's fine. Yeah. Not Path of Exile 2. You're not going to learn anything. What are we? Forever Exiled.
Foreverexiled.com.
Foreverexiled2.com.
Nailed
no,
it.
just .com. Yeah, that's right.
All right, bye.
Man, we're awesome.